Okay, so thanks a lot for being here. I'm very happy to be talking to you today. We've actually known each other for several years now, I think. We
Yeah.
never really worked together, but we've been discussing on and off for a while. And I really look up to you when it comes to Asana, to consulting, to being a remote consultant. And several years ago, I was really looking up to you, and now I feel like I'm doing kind of the same job as you. So I really wanted to talk to you today and discuss the job we have and Asana and everything else.
Yeah, no, thank you. That means a lot. And the same for you, because you're probably the most active person in the Asana community in the forum online.
Do
And
you
I
know
always
that
see you jumping in.
I'm the biggest contributor worldwide,
I
like
think so.
all the
Yeah, I
time?
think I saw
Yeah, yeah.
recently. Yeah, yeah. So I'm like, man, that's an awesome achievement. Yeah.
It doesn't take that much time though, just like 5 minutes a day or something. And a lot of people they come in for a month, they answer a lot of questions, then they leave, and nobody's there for the long run doing that every day.
Consistent.
Several
Yeah.
years consistent, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
I'm
I,
kind of the
I
same.
had
I jump in every now and then and answer a few questions, but I'm day to day I'm kind of prioritizing client work, and I'm lucky that I do get a lot of my business through things like YouTube. So I try and jump into the forum and help where I can, but I think I just and I'm actually, I suppose I answer a lot of questions on my YouTube videos. That's almost like my forum, really. I got to get a lot of
yeah.
questions there. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, I wanted to discuss about content because you put out a lot of free content out there, and it took me months to realize how useful it is to really create free content and just give it for free, give it away for free. Have you always done that, or do you start by selling content and then do free content? How did
No,
it work for
I
you?
mean, going back to even before I started Asana Consulting, I just started my blog and my podcast, and did. I wasn't doing as much YouTube back then, but I just when I was starting my journey of building like an online business, I saw what other people were doing, like people like Pat Flynn, Smart Passive Income, all these just sort of online um, digital product sales consulting type people. The message that they kept saying is like, you just give away, provide lots of value first. You can build an audience that way. So whether it's YouTube or a blog or a podcast, the number one thing is just provide value. Number one, it's a great way of getting discovered. Number two, it helps build credibility and trust. And I kind of think that the more you give away, the more you get back. And now people come to me and they say, oh, I've been following you for years, or I've been getting your newsletter, and now I want some help with Asana. So this is not unique to Asana. It's just in general. I think the more you provide value and try and help people like you're doing in the community, the more you kind of get back later. So yeah, it's always something I've done for a while, is just give away lots of value. That way, when you have a paid product or service, obviously that's kind of that next step. With the free content, it's maybe like, this is what to do, and the paid content is like how to do it. It's that added value. But when you do come out with that paid product or service, then people are willing to buy it because they're like, yeah, I know you know what you're talking about. I know you're the real deal because I've been watching your free content. And so when you have the paid thing, they're like, yeah, I want to work with you. That sounds great.
Yeah, what's funny is even with consulting, people actually pay you to teach them something you already put out for free online. So for example,
Yeah.
if you read my books, if you watch my videos and read my answers on the forum, basically you have everything there. The only thing is it takes several hours to compile everything and to understand what applies to your specific use case. So people just pay for the time you help them save, basically.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, and I think that's, again, not unique to Asana. I consult on Pipedrive as well, and Zapier. But the most common thing people tell me is like, yeah, I could go and learn this for free online. And that's kind of what I've done. I'm sure you're the same. Like, I'm kind of self-taught. Business owners could go and learn these things for free, but they are busy and they're running a business and don't have time. And they want someone to just kind of tell them what to do. I've had that as well as a customer. I recently worked with a marketing expert who helped me to audit some of my email marketing funnels. I come from a marketing background. I'm not an idiot when it comes to marketing, but I'm busy with other areas of my business. So I would rather pay her to review what I'm doing, give me some ideas. I could maybe figure some of it out on my own, but I want to just have her save me some time. So yeah, that's if you that's really what I'm selling. It's not even so much the expertise, it's just the helping people to make that journey from where they are now to where they want to be with a tool like Asana, and help them make that journey quicker.
And the content helps people realize who you are, and basically when they come to work with you, they already know you. So you have people coming to you saying, we know you, and you never heard of them, which is a funny situation. So you've done a lot of YouTube content, and I think that you said you were trying to focus more on LinkedIn and try other stuff. So where are you right now about other channels?
Actually, I'm not doing anything really on LinkedIn. My main channels are like just YouTube. Google is good, but just building my own website. Like, I blog regularly, not just about Asana, but just other productivity topics as well, business and kind of how I run my business, that type of thing. So I'm trying to put content out there regularly for my blog and my podcast and my email newsletter. So I share, what I'm doing or new content that I've created. So that, again, I'm just trying to provide value first, so that when a lot of people, they might sign up to my productivity newsletter, and then through me, they learn about a tool like Asana and then approach me for consulting later. So if I had to kind of sum it all up, I'd say it's about, really what I'm trying to do is, rather than focus on one particular channel, I just want to build an audience. And really, a lot of that is about pointing people back to my website, whether it's YouTube or Google. Really, I just want to get people on my website, which is kind of my home on the internet, and have people, sign up to my newsletter, where I can, develop that relationship.
And how do you go about creating content? Do you protect time every day, like an hour, 2 hours every day to create content? Because I guess you have a lot of clients. So if you wanted, you could have clients from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and not do anything else. So how do you schedule your time?
I usually do it in batches. So like usually on a Monday, being in New Zealand, we're usually a day ahead of the rest of the world. Most of my clients are in, or the US primarily. And so it's like a Sunday on our Monday. So I'll spend maybe a few hours on a Monday doing like a blog post and a podcast. And so I do that every week. Videos, I do it as a batch, like usually once a month. I'll spend an afternoon recording a bunch of videos and editing them. And then I have an assistant who will upload them to YouTube and get them ready to publish, that kind of thing. So the videos I do as a batch, about once a month, but I publish them weekly.
Okay, all right. So can you tell me, you talked about Zapier, Asana. Can you tell us what do you do? What is your work? Do you do training? Do you do audit? What do you do exactly?
Yeah, essentially, I just try and help people to master these tools. Like, so taking Asana as an example, usually people come to me and they want to make sure, like, have I set up my account correctly? Do a bit of an audit with them, make sure they're using it correctly, review kind of how it's being used, maybe introduce them to new features that they're not using, really just take them to that next level. I'm sure you see this as well, but like often I find people might start using a tool like Asana, or Pipedrive is similar as well, and they'll say, I'm only using 10% and I know it can do a lot more, and I really want you to tell me what more it can do and show me how it applies to my business so I can use 90% of it and get more value out of it. So that's a big part of what I do. I do the training as well if people need training for their team, and people often tell me, like, I think my team will listen better to an expert than they will to me. So often business owners, they want to have an expert.
Yeah, I've got that as well.
Do the training, and often, like maybe integrating Asana with other tools. Like Zapier is a great tool which you can use to connect different systems together. And so maybe you want to connect Asana with like your CRM or other systems that you use. And so often, maybe a project will involve some automation or integration work with Zapier as well. So I kind of start at the basics, like get them using the account well, get the team using it better, and then when they're ready, maybe look at more advanced use cases of it later.
And how do you stay up to date about the latest features of Asana, Zapier, and the other tools? You read the blogs a lot. What do you do?
I do read the blogs. When big new features come out, I'll just kind of read up about what Asana's kind of their thought process around the new feature. But honestly, it's just I'm a customer as well. The reason I consult on these tools is because I use them myself every day. So some people are like, do you ever consult on Trello or Monday? And my answer is no, I don't, because I don't use them. Asana I have open all the time, and I'm constantly using it throughout the day. So I'm always up to date when new features come out because I'm a customer. That's the main way I stay up to date. Yeah.
So you're using Zapier as well, quite a lot, right?
Oh, lots. Yeah. In my own business. Yeah. Zapier is like my, like my digital employee. It does a lot for me in my business. Yeah, it's great.
Okay. So what is the craziest thing you've seen at a client, like the craziest situation? You have some anecdotes about some consulting work you did with clients and crazy
Like
stuff you saw.
how they're using Asana, you mean?
Yeah, for example.
Oh gosh, I can't remember.
I'm gonna give you an example of mine. One client was instructing everyone not to complete task because when you complete a task, they disappear from the screen. So he was freaking out. So he just said to everyone, do not complete any task in Asana because they actually disappear.
Yeah, actually, that's a good one. I've had that not too often, but I think once or twice people have said something similar. People often want to take control of it and say, yeah, don't complete them or don't change the dates. What was the other one that I had? You made me think of one. Oh, I can't remember what I was going to say. I had something, a weird one that people were doing. But what I say to people when they do funny things like that is like, I explain kind of how Asana wants them to use the tool. And then I encourage them to use it the way it's designed to be used, and that the benefit of actually having your team, with your example, like mark it as complete, is then I can say, yeah, I've done the task. And if you're using the tool correctly, if you're checking the inbox, for example, you will see the task's been done, and you can go and check my work, and you can even reopen the task if you need to. But that way, the assignee of the task, they're the one responsible for it. They're the one that can say, yes, I've done this now. And again, if you just show them a few features like the filters and the viewing options to be able to go back and find completed tasks, I try and highlight that actually, completing the task is not an issue. So that's, if I do see quirky things happening, that's what I'll try and do, is explain, look, this is the way the tool is designed. This is actually how, if you use these features, your concern is not really an issue. I'll let you know. I'll try and keep thinking of that. I had an example in my head, but I just forgot about it. I forgot as I was talking. Yeah.
So did you learn somewhere how to talk to a client, to approach a client problem? Did you have any diploma, any education with that background? Like basically learning how to do consulting?
No, not really. Again, I'm just largely self-taught. But something that was interesting, my first experience with Asana was at a company I was working for here in New Zealand, an online store here, a bit like Amazon for New Zealand, really. And I was working in marketing, and the owner of the company had tried a few different project management tools to organize the team, but he did a terrible job at rolling them out. He didn't really explain to us, hey, we're going to use this new tool. He just sort of invited us to it. He didn't do a great job of introducing us to it. I actually found Asana and showed him, and he really liked it. It wasn't really part of my job, but being somebody who's interested in productivity, I just sort of took the lead on learning how to use it. And then I actually trained a lot of the other people in the company about how to use it. I ran a number of training workshops for my colleagues. And long story short, we transitioned away from email to using Asana within most of the departments of the business. And it was the COO of the company actually later, he came to me and said, oh, look, you did a great job with showing people how to use Asana, and you explain things really clearly. You're a natural teacher. And this is something I'd never heard before. I guess, I've always understood the importance of good communication, like whether I'm writing an email or a blog post or speaking, I've always tried to think about how can I explain my thoughts, my ideas as clearly as possible across any format. So that's always something I've just been aware of. Going back to when I was younger, is like, I don't want to waffle. If I'm giving an answer, I don't want to waffle and draw out my answer to be really long. How can I explain something really clearly? And I think that just came through via this experience. But it was the first time I'd really received this feedback. And so that was really interesting to discover. But no, to answer your question, I didn't do any course about like how to communicate or anything like that. Obviously, I've just continued to learn as I've worked with more clients. I've tried to, take away the lessons from each experience and, refine as I go. Yeah.
And do you sometimes have some kind of an imposter syndrome, being there and teaching like big clients, big CEO on how to run their companies. Because from my experience, a simple Asana training usually drag you into having some change management discussion, very high level discussion with CEOs and how to run their teams and run their companies. And I do sometimes have that imposter syndrome saying, I just know Asana, the tool, and I'm not supposed to help you with this. You see what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I felt a lot of imposter syndrome at the start, especially when I was getting started, because it was like there was no Asana certification program. I think I was one of the first people to say, yeah, I'm an Asana consultant, but there was no certified pro program like there is now. So I just kind of thought, yeah, who am I to tell people how to use Asana? And then I kind of reminded myself, well, to be an expert at something, you really just need to know a little bit more than the person you're teaching. And I've always been really transparent with people, and I've said, look, this is a tool that I've been using since 2012. I've used it nearly every day since then. And I just know how to use it well, and I can teach you how to use it. Really, that's kind of how I started. It was just like, yeah, I've used it a lot, and I'll show you what I've learned, and I'll show you the features. Really, yeah, definitely when you get into like change management, that's going beyond a little bit, just obviously having expertise in Asana. That's now, okay, how do you change people's behavior? It's definitely a challenge that comes with that, and hence the imposter syndrome. I've, again, going back to my previous answer, just tried to learn like what has worked well for other clients. How did we manage that change, and try to, again, just share those experiences. So I'll just give case studies of like, look, this is what another client did, this is what they found worked really well. For example, like with Asana, after a training, I'll say, let's have a go live date. We'll do the training today. We'll give everyone like a couple of days or a week to kind of have a little bit more of a play. But then on this day, we're going live. That's when we're not going to use email. We're going to be ready, and we're going to be using Asana. And I think that's something that I learned, is like drawing the line in the sand like that is something that helps with that change management. So yeah, I definitely feel the same. Like I'm not super qualified to tell teams how to change behavior, but I've just tried to share my experiences and from each client along the way.
Yeah, I'd like to have your input on a situation I had. A big client came to me. They were like 100 users in Asana. They've been using Asana for a while. It was very messy, no structure, no rules, no guidelines, nothing. And I wanted to know, how would you address such a client? Do you start with a very small team and one very simple workflow, and you draw the line? You have basically a go live on that small team? How would you address such a client?
Yeah, with a bigger company, I usually do rather than trying to reinvent the entire organization in one step, I will usually start with a smaller team and use them as a bit of a test, a pilot, and say, right, let's just see how it works for this team. Let's take like a part of their work. Maybe it's a marketing team. Let's use Asana to manage their marketing campaigns or something like that. And let's just use them as a bit of a test. Then we can, and I think that really helps with the behavioral change later. If you can then go to the rest of the team later and say, look, this is what we did with the marketing team. And now if you've done a good job, the marketing team are like your champions. They're your flag bearers for Asana. And they're going to turn up and say, yeah, we've been using Asana for a month. We absolutely love it. Would definitely not go back to email. They will then become advocates of the product that then will encourage other people to use it. And I think that's really important in behavior, getting that, managing behavioral change in a big company, is you really need to show people how it's going to make their lives easier. Obviously, I can show you how to use a tool like Asana, and I can show you the features. But at the end of the day, how is it making your life or your work easier? And so I usually start with a discussion around, what are the problems you're having at the moment? Like, why do you even think you need Asana? Is it because your tasks are falling overdue? Is it a lack of communication? Often businesses will tell me, oh, like we have all these projects, or a lot of I work with a lot of client-facing businesses who have clients, and they say, we're working on these client projects and they're taking too long and we're forgetting things. And we just want to be able to deliver on a client project really efficiently to deliver a better service. And then we can work with more clients. So then you're getting to the core of why they actually want to use the tool in the first place. And when you understand that, then you can frame everything you're doing through that lens, and say, right, this is how we're going to help you to service clients better. So that's really what I try and understand when, working with any client for that matter, big or small.
Yeah, I think what's difficult is the right way is a slow way. And the client always want to go very fast. They want to migrate everyone on Asana. And the problem I specifically had with that client is everyone was already on Asana. It was already a mess. So we had to go very quickly to fix everything up. And we didn't have time to study the entire workflows for several days. We just had to fix one workflow, fix another, and fix again the first one because it didn't make sense with the new building blocks we added. So it's a complex situation, I think, when you have big clients like this. It's better when they come to you not having used Asana at all, so you can start slowly.
I think it's much easier if you're working with someone who's brand new and they haven't developed those bad habits. Sometimes I'll start working with somebody and they're using it in a really just sort of peculiar way, not really how it's designed to be used. And you have to show them like, oh, you know, this is kind of how it's designed. This is how it's meant to be used. And often I bring myself back to that. Like, this is Asana, what Asana was thinking about when they came up with this feature. This is how they want you to use it. And you often have to just kind of reteach people who have been using it for a while. It's quite funny.
Yeah, and it takes a lot of experience and years of training yourself on how to help the different kind of use cases you can have and find the right approach. And try to deconstruct what people did in their mind and try to teach them the right way, and especially what Asana was meant to do, was meant to be built for. Okay, so what would you say to someone who used a tool like Asana or Zapier for a while and they would want to start as a consultant? What would be the first step in your mind, according to you?
Good question on like helping them with Asana specifically.
Because the thing is, if I take a step back on my case, it took me years to get to where I am. And if I was back 10 years earlier, it would seem so far away, you know, taking 10 years to reach that level of having many clients with a nice rate and everything. So how do you how would you advise someone not to stay motivated all those years?
Yeah, I think, I mean, when getting started, the first thing I would say is like, find your first customer as quick as you can. You know, it can be somebody in your personal network. I think a lot of times when people start a business, this is not unique to consulting, but a lot of times when people are starting a business, selling and finding a customer is like the hardest part. You have to put yourself out there. You have to ask someone for money. Asking someone for money is like, can be really hard to do.
You have to decide on a price also.
Yeah, you have to decide on a price and you have to say, look, I'm worth this much and you should pay me this much money. And often people even who want to get into business and work for themselves, they hate asking for money. And so what do? They distract themselves and they build a website and they design a business card and they worry about what logo to use and they get t-shirts printed and they do all this stuff that actually doesn't make a difference. What you need to do is forget all of that and find your first customer as quick as you can. And maybe it's somebody in your personal network, somebody on LinkedIn, maybe it's a company you have worked for previously. And you can say, hey, let's just start having a discussion. Maybe they're using Asana, maybe they're not. And just say, look, is there something I can do? How can I help you with this tool? And I would just start there, because as soon as you get that first customer, you're going to learn a lot about how to manage a project, how to communicate with the client, how to set expectations, and it's going to make the next one easier. You're going to learn how to price your service better, and you're going to build up that credibility, that experience that's going to just slowly snowball, and everything will become easier, and you'll be able to increase your prices and get more clients. The other stuff, you know, building a website, doing YouTube videos, whatever you want to do, that can all come later, but usually people distract themselves with that stuff in the beginning because they're scared of actually getting the sale. So that's what I would say, is like, try and rip that band-aid and just try and find your first couple of customers.
It really gets easier one client after another. And what's awesome is when you reach a point where you're never surprised anymore by any question, because you've got all the questions before, all the use cases before, and it just gets very easier and really nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's my last question is, what's next for you in the next 5 years? How your work is going to evolve? Do you have any idea where you're going to be in 5 years?
I have no idea. You know, I used to be more goal orientated. I've said this for a bit, but when I was getting started, my goal was just to be able to work for myself. Like I was working, I had a full-time job. I just wanted to be self-sufficient was my goal for a long time. And so when I started consulting and I quit my job, my first year to 2 years was about, while that imposter syndrome, I was feeling a lot of that imposter syndrome. My first year or two was just about, okay, I've got this business going now. How do I just not screw this up? How do I just keep this going and make sure this is not a flash in the pan success that's going to die away? So my first year or two, it was just about how can I keep this all going. Now I've been doing this for 4 or 5 years now, and 4 years now, I think, yeah. And I'm happy with the level that I'm at. What I do hasn't changed a lot in that time. Ultimately, I still consult on Asana, Pipedriver, and Zapier. I was doing some on MailChimp. I'm not offering MailChimp services anymore. But basically, I'm still helping people with these tools, just like I was 4 years ago. How I do that has changed. So if you ask me, what's going to change in your business in the next 5 years, maybe I'll get into other areas of consulting. Maybe I'll stop consulting altogether. I don't know. But I think what will certainly happen is I will continue to evolve my business. I might still be helping people with Asana, but how I do that might change. Like this year, I've come out with more like an online course and group coaching, which is quite different to how I started, more one-on-one and hourly sessions kind of thing. So in 5 years, I hopefully will still be working for myself, and my goal is to just support myself and enjoy doing what I'm doing. And I'll keep doing this until I'm bored, I think, and I'm not bored yet, so that's good. And if in 5 years I'm still doing the same thing, as long as I'm enjoying it, that's absolutely fine. Yeah.
Okay, great. So if anyone needs help with Pipedrive, Asana, Zapier, where should they go? Where should they find you?
Yeah, come to my website, paulminers.com, and you'll find all the information you need up there.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
Thank you so much. This has been awesome.